The Asian community is literally so anti-black, and it literally fucking pisses me off. Like, we are literally so uneducated, uninformed, just misinformed, everything about the black community, and it pisses me off. And like, it just boggles my mind how a lot of Asians see black people as beneath them. I shit you not, I literally saw someone on my story and I literally was so gagged. Like, I was like, are you serious right now? And I sent him a message, ask him if he's being serious about this. This guy is Bhutanese. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, but like, I guess he got like some kind of spray tan or whatever because he's doing some kind of stupid movie shoot or whatever. Roy posts on his story and says, because his skin is like 10 shades darker or something, he said, "Can I say the N-word now?" with a ninja emoji next to it. I slid up so fucking quick and I asked this man, are you fucking serious right now? And guess what? That man left me on red. Need I say again that he is not black? He is Bhutanese from Bhutan or whatever the fuck you pronounce it. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. Quite honestly, like, the Asian community is literally so underhandedly racist to the black community, and it just, like, not to mention the black community is one of the most supportive of marginalized groups that has ever, like, uplifted the Asian community and actually put effort into supporting us. I'm probably gonna piss a lot of Asians off for saying that, but it's literally the truth, and I fucking see it for what it is.
The apology's up, and I'll post it for you here if you don't want to go over to Instagram and watch it. But I will say, initially, I feel pretty positively about it. I think she said some really good things. There were some things that I was a little iffy about, but I don't want to just kind of like tear this apology apart. So I'm going to take a day and just kind of think about it and see how I feel. And I think it's less about maybe just this particular instance, but I think kind of overall what this entire thing has brought more attention to certain issues that Asian Americans have. I'm gonna take a day and just kind of get my thoughts, together overall about this entire thing. But here it is.
They have had ICE called on them. My family doesn't feel safe in their own home. I'm receiving death threats. Like, there's no need to fight hate with hate. I don't think that that's justice. And if you want to know that you're heard and that I'm sorry and that I will move differently, I promise you that's what will happen. I know that no apology could ever be enough for the harm that I've caused and the offense that's taken place. I know that moving forward, my actions and how I decide to live my life from here on out is gonna speak louder than any apology ever could. But I do need it to be known that I am sorry and I did mean no harm, and hopefully there are people out there that can use my mistake as a learning moment, and to just be better, because that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take today and tomorrow and I'm gonna take strides to be better. And all I can ask for is, even if you won't give me forgiveness, if you can just allow me to grow with grace. And hopefully, instead of sitting here and trying to convince you that I am this amazing person who spreads light in the world and celebrates cultures and dynamics and backgrounds, then one day you can see that from me. I'm deeply sorry again, and I thank anyone who's listening.
What's fact is that black people in the United States don't have the caucasity to define crime for everybody else while excluding themselves. What's fact is that European Americans have committed a vastly disproportionate amount of crime against humanity in the United States. European Americans have unalived and SA'd people of the global majority by the millions. European Americans have destroyed communities created by people of the global majority in the United States by the thousands. And until that truth is acknowledged and reconciled, there will be no excuses.
So I've spent the last couple of days digesting and processing everything that's been going on with Sierra on Love Island. And there are just a couple of things I want to touch on in this video that I haven't really seen floating around the internet yet. First and foremost, I want to make very clear that the C word that Sierra said is a racial slur. I've seen a lot of back and forth on the internet about whether or not this word actually is a racial slur or not, or if it's actually as bad as other racial slurs. Frankly, this is just my opinion, but it is not worth arguing with people about whether or not it is a racial slur. This term has long been used to refer to Asians and our appearances in a derogatory manner, and people didn't know that. They know now, and if they choose to keep using it, that says a lot about the kind of person they are. The next thing I want to acknowledge that many people do know is that Sierra has issued an apology. A lot of people are criticizing that apology video. They're criticizing what she's wearing, whether or not it's sincere or AI generated. But I will say that in that video, she took accountability for her actions and did not make excuses for her behavior, which I did appreciate. And to me, seemed like the end goal of calling her out for using that word to begin with. But something else I want us to think about a little bit is the sheer volume of people in the Asian American community that have spoken up about this. And we really have not seen the same volume of people speaking about very real problems that are plaguing our community every single day. Asians, for example, are the second most vulnerable population when it comes to being targeted by ICE. Southeast Asian communities in SoCal are already feeling this impact, and of the 8 men who were deported to South Sudan, 4 of them were Asian, 2 of them from Myanmar, 1 from Laos, and 1 from Vietnam. But as many people have criticized, we haven't seen many Asians speaking up about this on a very large scale. But you do see a lot of people talking about what's perceived to be Asian hate. In many metropolitan areas, Asians are also among the lowest income groups. Not many people know this, but until very recently, Asians were actually the poorest ethnic group in New York City. And these members of our community, arguably the most vulnerable members of our community, are going to be heavily impacted by these cuts to Medicaid, SNAP, and other benefits being cut by the big bill that just passed. But just like with ICE, you haven't really seen many Asians talking about this on a large scale. All that to say, obviously, blatant racism or violence against Asians is bad. It's downplayed on a global scale, honestly, and should be addressed when we see it. I think too many people over-index on that kind of violence and discrimination and not enough on the violence of the system that constantly discriminates against and affects the most vulnerable people in our communities every single day. And honestly, I just wish that people could bring the same energy they bring to canceling Sierra to fighting for our rights. Because if we don't speak up now when it actually matters, we won't be able to when it's too late.
Why is a person that never was a slave deserve compensation from a person that never owned a slave?
Hello family, welcome to this one now. For many years the Asians, the Asian community have always misunderstood or looked down upon the black people. Yeah, and it's something that continues to cause tension and discomfort between the two groups. And so these particular households, children grow up hearing that negative things about black people, and of course things that are not true, but are passed down through ignorance or stereotypes. Some Asians believe that being light-skinned or quiet makes them better, while being dark or outspoken makes someone bad or dangerous. So and this particular attitude did not start with the Asian community itself. It has roots in colonial past, where Western powers spread ideas that made certain races seem superior and others inferior. And Asians were sometimes told that they were closer to being quote unquote white, and while black people were treated as the lowest group in society over time. And of course these false ideas stuck and spread through generations, and because of this many Asians copied parts of black culture and the music, the fashion, the slang, but failed to understand or respect the struggles behind it. And some even made jokes and comments that were racist or even disrespectful, like using the N-word or mocking darker skin. And however, in all those ones, all the Asians think this way. Not all the Asians, rather, think this way. No. A growing number are now speaking up, admitting that their communities were wrong and learning to see the truth. And of course, they are realizing that black people have contributed so much to global culture, from art, music, to political change. And there is now a call for unity and education, that is. And for Asians to listen more, learn more, and break free from, the old lies that created separation. Both communities have faced discrimination, and by understanding each other, they can, to some extent get stronger together. It's about these ones that guys are put the likes, the videos together. And courtesy of the creators, first of all. And of course, me and you are going to watch, and of course, we're going to make our thoughts towards the end of it. And as we usually do it here, family, I'll circle back at the end of this particular show with more thoughts and comments over the same. So let's hang around.
Why is the person who owes his entire existence in this country to slavery now speaking against owed reparations? Why is the person who is not black not minding his own business about the black issues that don't concern him?
This is just another situation where one of these coattail riders who without slavery, without the existence of black people in this country, without all of the civil rights victories that black people spearheaded, shed blood and lost their lives for, would not be in this country. His ancestors would have never been able to immigrate to the United States if it weren't for the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965. Thanks again to Black Americans, Asian people could immigrate to the U.S., take out small business loans that were denied to Black people, and open up small businesses in Black neighborhoods, where some of those Asian immigrants perpetuated racism onto Black people, even though their American dream was made possible by Black people. You're welcome.
My problem is in entitlement and victims. Don't like that.
The freeloader that I'm responding to says that he was raised in a Black neighborhood. I'm curious if this is the way that he ended up in that Black neighborhood. The model minority myth was created to pit Asians against other marginalized groups, rewarding silence, obedience, and hard work with crumbs of white approval. And this coattail rider is the embodiment of it, exploiting Black struggle while groveling on his knees for validation from the very people who uphold his oppression.
I don't have a huge following, but I still feel a responsibility to say something. I've lived in LA for 4 years now, and what's happening with the ICE raids, the fear, the silence, especially from those within the Asian American community, has been really weighing heavily on my heart. I grew up in Queens, New York, around large Latino and Hispanic communities, and I've witnessed firsthand how deeply connected our communities are. A lot of Asian-owned businesses often rely on the labor of undocumented workers, often quietly, without any acknowledgement. And now, when the same people are being targeted, the silence is loud. It's painful. We come from immigrant families. We know what fear looks like, and we know what sacrifice looks like. And yet so many of us turn a blind eye when others are being targeted for the very reasons we're here. To those who are affected, I don't know what to say. I am truly sorry. You deserve to feel safe and you deserve to be seen. And to influencers, this moment calls for more than just posts about hidden gems in LA and food spots. If we love the city and its people, we need to show up for them too. If you have the privilege to post about where to shop in LA, then you have the power to say this isn't right. That is not political, that is just being human. I am not trying to call people out just to create noise. I am saying this because I care. This isn't about blame, it's about showing up. Speaking up doesn't require a perfect statement. It's honestly just about heart and showing compassion. And if you have a platform, even a small one like mine, it does matter. Be the voice for those who can't. Okay, bye.
This couldn't be farther from the truth. In fact, our greatest allies have been the Black community. Black and Asian solidarity has a long history. And that's not to erase the examples from both sides of intolerance, hate, and violence. But at our best, we've long fought alongside each other, such as Frederick Douglass advocating for Chinese and Japanese immigration in 1869. Or when Henry Turner and Ida B. Wells spoke out on behalf of Filipino freedom fighters. Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Martin Luther King, and many Black protesters condemning the violence and war in Vietnam. Japanese Americans fighting alongside the Black community to repeal the Emergency Detention Act. The powerful relationship between Yuri Kochiyama and Malcolm X. Grace Lee Boggs and her husband James Boggs. Jesse Jackson, the NAACP for Vincent Chin. And the majority of Asian Americans who support the Black Lives Matter movement.
Majority of the Asian business community is extremely exploitative and racist towards Black people.
Okay, let's address this. My initial reaction to this was one of defensiveness and anger, and I'm sure many of you guys felt the same. But we should not disregard some very valid points that this creator makes. We do have a problem with anti-Blackness and colorism within our community. We see that with the discord between ethnic groups within our own community, and that translates out to how some of us treat people with darker skin outside of our community as well. Obviously, it's not all of us because we're not a racial monolith, but I have seen it and I know you have seen it too. I think we tend to tense up when we hear other people calling out our community for racial prejudice. It's natural to feel defensive because the majority of us are not actively trying to hurt other people. But I think we have to understand that as human beings, we all have some sort of racial prejudice towards others. We're born into a racist society. We have had racist stereotypes hammered into us since birth. But we really need to make a good effort to listen, because if we don't listen, we can't be better for our own community and we can't be better allies. I have more to say in part 2.
My content is about anti-racism and anti-oppression in the United States in particular, and because our liberation is tied together, the way that a person like me can contribute to dismantling systems of oppression is by listening to, learning from, following the lead, and amplifying the voices of the people who understand those systems the best. And unfortunately, the people who understand those systems the best are the people who have experienced the most harm, which in the United States is Native and Black Americans. The other thing is, as an Asian American, in the United States, Asian American positionality is weaponized to cause harm to Black people specifically, for example, via the model minority myth. So a lot of my content is about acknowledging and addressing anti-Blackness among Asian Americans and talking about how to fight against our weaponized positionality by not aligning with whiteness and not subscribing to white narratives, in particular about Black people. If I failed to do that and I were to focus only on anti-Asian discrimination or xenophobia, that can actually contribute to divide and conquer. That's how you wind up with Asian Americans who signed on to dismantle affirmative action. That's how you wind up with Asian Americans who fall for misinformation scapegoating Black people for the increase in anti-Asian violence. That's how you wind up with measures like the anti-Asian hate crime bill, as opposed to advocating for a hate crime bill that would benefit all marginalized people the way the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act benefits all people. But the only way that I can do that is to speak out candidly against anti-Blackness. Now, as a side note, she, her pronouns are fine with me, but I am non-binary. Generally speaking, if you are somebody that is not okay with, please block me or do whatever you need to do to not interact with me, or if you need my help, I can block you too. Students educating each other about discrimination. And that wasn't centered on racial discrimination, it was about discrimination in general. But in that program, we learned to have discussions about discrimination and to identify it and disrupt it. Which at that age just means if you witness discrimination, say it's discrimination and articulate how you know that it's discrimination. So from learning that very powerful tool at school, I was able to identify that what my mom was doing at home was wrong. Additionally, the principal was a Black woman, so I had a Black woman in a position of leadership as a role model. And in my school district, she wasn't a token. They really valued Black leadership, from teachers to administration, guidance counselors, all the way up to superintendents. And so I was surrounded by Black role models who made me see that reality did not line up with what my mom was trying to teach me. The straw that broke the camel's back was sometime around the ages of between 7 and 9, I was planning a birthday party, and I told my mom that I want to invite my friend Keisha, which I knew was going to be an issue, but I thought I would try. And she said no, and I said, fine, then I don't want to have a birthday party, and she made me have the birthday party. So now that felt like that's not only cruel to me, but that's cruel to my friend Keisha, whom you don't even know because you refused to meet her. Shortly after that, we were walking in the mall, and my mom did this thing that she often did, which is she sees Black people minding their own business, and under her breath, she mumbles a derogatory term in Chinese for Black people. And I remember I pulled back on her hand and faced her, and I said, they are not doing anything. You don't know them. The next time you do that, I am going to go up to them, and I'm going to tell them what you said. And believe it or not, the fear of exposure by me actually made her tone it down, and she stopped doing that in public. Fortunately, my mom did not live and die that way. In later years, she came around to seeing and later openly admitting how wrong she was. In her older age, one of her best friends really was Black, and my mom admitted to her friend what her previous attitudes had been and why. And from those conversations, I was able to gain some insight as to what my mom's motivation was for her anti-Blackness. Because I think most people feel, since Asian Americans also are harmed by white supremacy, how does it make any sense for Asian Americans to be anti?
So in conclusion, tribe, so at the end, it is not just about pointing fingers, it's about growth. It is about unlearning what was false and building respect based on truth. And it is coming to a realization that you see stereotypes and also looking down upon, but when they realize that these particular blacks, the same blacks, are the ones who cannot, perturbed by, their sentiments. There are people that when they talk negatively about, there are people who are going on with their daily activities. They're not moved. They cannot be wavered. They are focused. They're maintaining their course. You realize that even from the latest turn of events that they are not really caught up in many entanglements like, the others. Like we see all the others are crashing down on the rising cost of living, the skyrocketing, the prices are up there. But no blacks, communities that are coming out and claiming that maybe they've also maybe failed to keep up with the speed per se in this particular context. And prove me wrong, like I haven't heard that one from many social platforms. The kind of people that you hear, making it loud is the light-skinned individuals, the white Americans, the Asians. They're claiming that life is becoming unbearable, and just maybe they thought that the privileges that comes with being white would, see them, as exceptions, that it won't really affect them. But you realize the blacks, their resilience, their hard work, they're out there. They've realized that maybe this time around they're not going to, say anything. They're going to, keep it cool, go out as business as usual, and forgetting that nothing is going around in their environs. So it's about these ones that other communities are realizing that there's something unique, there's something outstanding to do with the blacks, and that makes them pull themselves closer to the blacks and maybe learn from the same blacks in this particular context. Guys, I go by Sherlock. If you bumped across this particular channel for the first time, how about a thumbs up to put a very big smile on my face, and sharing with the night, the people, especially those ones that it will, serve them, and above all, tiny little comment on the comment section. See you in the next one. Try.